Hello and welcome to the Kundalini podcast. That was Zen. This is Tao. I'm Vivek Govekar. Namaste. Today I'm going to talk about power dynamics. In a previous episode where I talked about energy vampires, and overall in these videos I have been talking about reducing negativity, getting out of relationships that are harmful to you. So I'm going to talk about some of these things where I'm going to give specific examples about power dynamics. I talk about pratyahara, which is part of Raja Yoga. In that, you're withdrawing your senses. So there's a lot of places where I've mentioned you have to reduce your distractions or about interactions with others where there's conflict and how to deal with that without creating more harmful karma by not getting carried away, not being angry. So that's the surface of some of the things that I wanted to discuss on this subject. What are some more examples? Basically, it can be reduced to two kind of interactions. And these are related to your chakras. You have your lower three chakras, the Mooladhara or the base chakra, which is represented by the color red, your sacral chakra or the Swadhisthana, represented by the color orange, and the Manipur chakra, which is represented by the color yellow. It represents willpower. How do these manifest in your day-to-day interactions in life? The Mooladhara chakra or the base chakra is about survival. So whatever you're doing to survive in life, and some of the distractions or some of the things that lead to karma that will come back and harm you in a bad way are excesses of that. So if you need to survive in a cutthroat competitive environment, you have a bunch of multiple options. You learn to play the game according to that environment. But you pull back. You don't go overboard, especially when you've won over someone or you have dominated and you have gained some profit from them, because that was necessary in that environment. The karmic path, the lesser of two evils, as it's called in the Christian tradition, is to then pull back and not do excess harm more than what is necessary. Because sometimes you have to choose a path where, hey, I'm living in this world, I have to do something for my survival. And some of these methods are not something that I would have done otherwise, and these are not spiritual. But you have to do them. Because without basic survival, as I've said in that video about samsara being nirvana, all the mundane day-to-day activities require the same interactions that average people, unawakened, unspiritual people have to go through. You have to go through the same things. You just do it differently, keeping in mind that you have a balance to think about. Similarly, in the second chakra, which deals with creativity, but also with sexuality and reproduction, the sexual urge or the sexual instinct is definitely not harmful or evil on its own. In fact, in the Hindu tradition, Shiva and Shakti are represented by the human reproductive organs. The Shiva Linga is the male genital organ. So the reproductive power of Shiva, elevated to a higher spiritual level, without any vulgarity, without any lower base instincts, is revered, because that's how all procreation and reproduction happens. However, taken to an excess, people with their base tendencies, the lust for sexual things, end up creating bad karma for themselves by hurting someone, being a sexual predator, being excessively involved in trying to seduce people, or using that sexual power that you have to manipulate others. Those will have karmic rebound. Done in a positive way, you have a healthy sexual life, and that's after that you don't give in to excess. The Manipur chakra is about your personal will. The willpower is necessary to get things done in life. And if you have succeeded at doing so, you end up being a dominant human being, someone who exercises his or her will to achieve great things. To balance it, however, is to not fall into the trap of ego, of power, of wanting power over others, and doing whatever is necessary to hang on to that power. There's a wonderful show called House of Cards. There's this evil character called Frank Underwood, and he's the epitome of evil. He just goes out, power, power, power. In that show, apparently, he doesn't suffer any consequences of those actions. But in real life, there are very real consequences. You have to live with the guilt, the shame. You have to constantly be aware. You start seeing the world as if they are doing the same things to you. Whereas someone who has exercised his or her authority in a healthy way, yes, I have this power, I'm in a position of dominance, but beyond a certain point, I know the karmic consequences and I won't exceed my authority. Then you live with a clear conscience and you can enjoy that power in a healthy way. So, these interactions that we have are as much about defending yourself against powerful forces by using Aikido, by using techniques that protect you, which is the realm of the lowest chakra, survival, needs for making an income and living your life. You have to use your sexual abilities and abilities to reproduce in a healthy way without getting carried away by those, and balancing that. The power that you have to create things, to exercise your will, make sure you're not using it to excess. So it's as much about preventing others from dominating you who have excess willpower because of an imbalance of the Manipur or the third chakra. It's as much about defending yourself and doing it in a rational way where you're not exceeding something and doing something in a manner where you end up hurting yourself and the other person, but also keeping a check, keeping a rein on your own power once you have a certain amount and nobody's there to stop you. And it seems as though you can exercise it as you want. Remember, no one is going to tell you that these consequences lie waiting for you in the future. That's your discriminative intellect, your Vivek Buddhi, Sat Vivek Buddhi, the ability to constantly reassess. And that balancing act for all 7 chakras, but mainly the lower 3 chakras, is very necessary on a day-to-day basis. As I've said in the past, enlightenment or awakening is not a once and done process. Okay, now I got enlightened, I'm done. Or I've mentioned this in a video where I talk about not resting on your past achievements. That's how it manifests itself in the real world. By not resting on your past achievements, you're accomplishing the same goal. You are maintaining that balance. Because now, some old mentality that led you into false actions or a repetitive pattern that led you into more and more excess, into an imbalance of one of these chakras. A reassessment by shaking off all of your past accomplishments, by not holding on to any of your past disappointments, you're now free to balance yourself once more. And by doing that, you are balancing the chakras without saying that, oh, I'm balancing my chakra right now. No. What you're going to experience is the manifestation of the thoughts, emotions, aspirations, driving forces, ambitions related to those chakras. And by keeping a check on your ego, by keeping a clean slate and being in the moment, in that practical sense, you're automatically balancing the chakras, not letting an imbalance happen, and allowing both forces to balance themselves, the yin and the yang within each of those chakras. And only when they are at a balance do you have any chance of rising beyond those stations, those realms. And only when all three lower chakras are in balance, there is a chance that you might access the higher chakras, the higher realms. The realm of the heart is pure love. But an imbalance of the heart chakra is possessive love. Something that involves suspicion and possessiveness and hurting the other person just to keep them around you. It's a very low kind of love. The balanced heart chakra gives unconditional love. That love is not bound by any conditions about how the other person should behave. Or you give the freedom to the other individual or the other group or community that you love and want to be a part of. You give them the freedom to choose you or not to choose you and still love them. That's a balancing of the heart chakra. Not having craving. A balancing of the throat chakra, in a very real sense, is how you express yourself. Are you excessively harsh? Do you not think about how you have hurt someone? If you have hurt someone accidentally, do you go back and apologize? Do you change your behavior and attempt to balance that? Conversely, are you too quiet? Sometimes you don't express yourself and you repress your thoughts, your natural creativity. That's going to create an imbalance as well. So, each chakra and its balance or imbalance is clearly obvious to us from our actions and what we have done excessively or haven't done enough. And neither is good. Saying that I'm completely celibate and I'm not going to have sex at all is just going to create repression, and you're going to be more attracted to sexual things in a harmful, negative, craving, obsession kind of way. That's not good either. Doing it excessively and running after that will have its own problems. Having a balance will help you go higher on the spiritual path. It is not repressing or doing it excessively. It is finding that balance. And by using your mental faculties, your wisdom to find the balance for you. The balance that's right for you is not going to be the same balance that's right for somebody else. Someone else may have a greater ability to exercise their power, be in a dominant position because of the abilities given to them. If you try to emulate them and you don't have the capacity or the abilities or the leadership skills, you're going to fail. So you have to pull back from comparison from others as well. There is no one standard way of doing it for everyone. But a balance is required. And that is through your day-to-day actions, what you undertake every day, how you pull back and restrain yourselves sometimes, and how you push yourself to overcome some fears and go in directions that you wouldn't have gone before. And both of these, done simultaneously in all your actions, will create that balance, will help you achieve the right path for you. I hope that was helpful. Thank you. Be well.